What you know, alibis? Welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm Gigi. It's Thursday, April 3rd. Hope you guys are having a good day so far. My goal is to hopefully get this wrapped up today. It's going to take at least two more episodes, and I may be working till well after midnight to do that. But tomorrow, my son turns 18 and it's also his prom night. And then Saturday, I'm off to Phoenix and I literally don't have a spare minute once I get there. So cross your fingers, I can get all this together and still manage to get some sleep tonight. Because starting today, y'all, my life is full throttle for the next few weeks. On yesterday's episode, we got to the point where Lori checks herself into Community Bridges, and then shortly after, they released her. She also told Charles where he could find his truck that she took from the airport. After this, Lori disappears for well over a month. Because she was gone, she was never served with that order of protection that Charles filed. We know that Lori and Tylee spent some time in Hawaii. April Raymond is someone Lori was very close to, and Tylee and Lori stayed with her for a little less than a week. Lori tells April about the podcast that she's doing, tells her that her friend Zulema can control the elements. She tells April she thinks that she is one of the 144,000 chosen ones, and Lori tells her she is there to gather her, but you can't bring your kids. April was like, no, thank you. April said Lori was just very different, talking about the 144,000. And Lori said Charles was already dead because he had a demon living inside of him. After they left April's, Lori and Tylee went to a resort there in Hawaii. Lori spent time with Alex in Arizona and Chad in Idaho. Tylee was staying at Alex's place during some of this time. At one point, she texted Lori, and Tylee did not get a reply for 4 days. Mind you, Tylee, 16 years old at this point. On February 5th, Charles takes JJ out of school in Arizona. And then on February 6th, Charles found out that Lori transferred the 2,000 rental car points, and he worries Lori may flee with JJ. February the 8th, Charles files for divorce from Lori. On February 11th, Charles leaves town due to fearing for his and JJ's safety. Charles informs JJ's school of this, and in return, a CPS report was made where they informed Protective Services that Lori was gone and Charles had an order of protection against her. Valentine's Day, February 14th, Charles signs the divorce paperwork where he asks for full custody of JJ, and he also wants all the money back that Lori took from the accounts as well as his personal belongings. February 15th, that divorce paperwork is filed electronically. Charles's lawyer also files another document asking for temporary custody of JJ, use of the house and the cars, for Lori to return that money, and also for JJ's personal items. Lori couldn't be found to serve the divorce papers on. So I think a lot of the reason Lori disappeared during this time is to not be served with that order of protection, and definitely not the divorce paperwork, because that could affect the life insurance policy where she is the beneficiary at this point. And I think Lori knew that. Also on February 15th, Alex texts Lori, Ned was at the temple yesterday looking for you. He thinks you're staying with me. Lori doesn't respond to this text. February 20th, Charles calls his life insurance company and asks for a change of beneficiary form. Later that day, he calls again explaining that he wanted to set up a PIN code on his account. February 23rd, Charles emails Lori and says he's never been unfaithful and he was willing to take a polygraph test as well as hire a private investigator to clear his name of any wrongdoing. Investigators noted that Charles was loving and supportive to Lori in these messages, and from February to June, Charles expressed interest in working on the marriage and not divorcing. February 26th, Charles calls Banner Life to change the beneficiary, but he could not provide the password. He said he had never set up a password and was worried that someone had fraudulently accessed his account. He tells them he wants to change the beneficiary to his sister, Kay Woodcock. He also tells them that he has an order of protection against Lori, so they send him another form to fill out. He emails a couple of people about the password issue, and on one of those, he copies his sister Kay. He says the password was placed on the account February 20th, and it was not by him. He says in the email, if anything should happen to him before he gets it fixed, his beneficiary is Kay Woodcock, and that is to help take care of JJ. He says he wants nothing to go to Lori or any member of her family. March 1st, Alex texts Lori that Ned came by his house and Tylee unleashed on him. He said Charles was driving a rental car, but Lori did not respond. March 1st, Charles files to dismiss the divorce proceedings. March 3rd is the first time investigators can find that Lori traveled to Idaho. She flies back to Arizona on March 5th. On March 6th, the court formally withdraws Charles's divorce petition. March 7th, Charles withdraws JJ from his school in Arizona. He called the school and asked for a copy of JJ's IEP to be put in his backpack, and they're moving to Houston. That same day, Charles forwards the email where Chad rates Lori's family as light or dark to his sister Kay. He also emails Lori trying to be reasonable. He offers her the house after he moves out with the bills paid and asks that they work out a schedule with JJ. He tells Lori to respond by March 11th. He tells Lori she's been gone now for 38 days and he can only conclude that she doesn't want to communicate with JJ, but he tells Lori JJ misses his mommy. The same day, Lori texted Alex, apparently is tied to Ned being gone, hopefully today or tomorrow. On March 10th, Alex texts Lori, love you too. Have fun and get rid of Ned already. Do Mom and Shish know about Ned? And Lori responds, it's not Ned, it's a new one, meaning a new entity. March 11th, the deadline for Lori to decide about what Charles proposed in his email comes and goes. March 19th through the 21st, Chad and Lori fly from Idaho Falls to Mesa, Arizona together on the same flight. On March 19th, Charles emails Lori and says it's been 49 days since they had heard from her. He asked her to reconsider when it comes to JJ and that he will keep the house until the end of April in the hopes that she will come see JJ. Charles has JJ homeschooled with a special needs teacher in Texas. He tells Lori to please call JJ. He misses his mommy terribly and he can't understand where she went. March 21st, Charles emails JJ's school in Arizona needing some documents from 2019 sent to him in Texas. He also said Lori has most of those documents, but she can't be located. Investigators say she was back at the 4 Points Sheridan in Mesa, Arizona at this time. March 22nd through the 25th, Lori stays with Zulema, Melanie Gibb, Serena, Christina, and Nicole. March 25th, Lori says she will go see her grandkid and also Tylee. At this point, Lori had not seen Tylee in about a month. Sometime in spring, Melanie Gibb was on the phone with Lori, and Lori called Tylee a zombie. Tylee overhears this and says, not me, Mom. This arose out of Lori requiring Tylee to babysit JJ, and Tylee didn't want to. Lori also told Gibb that Tylee had turned into a zombie when she was 12 or 13, and that's around the same time that Lori said Tylee had become difficult to work with. In other words, welcome to having a teenage daughter. I have two, I can vouch. March 26th, Lori and Alex text about Charles. Alex, Charles's body is still alive. What did you learn? Lori, a lot. Still working on it. We'll call you later. Alex, Ned is still alive. Just confirmed. Lori, it's not Ned. It's a new one. The same day, Charles texts a friend of his. He says, I truly feel there is no good ending for her. Emotionally, JJ is about 4. He will remember bits and pieces, but thankfully not the pain she's put a lot of people through for her, and he puts in quotes, mission from God. The friend says, I still can't believe it. And Charles replies, 58 days, believe it. The beautiful, sweet Lori you and I knew is gone. She actually believes I'm not Charles. She says, an evil spirit named Nick Schneider murdered me and is using me to violate her and her family. Not kidding. Got to get out of here. Things have changed so dramatically in the past 6 months. Something snapped. It's so unbelievable and scary. I'm thankful she doesn't see JJ. She wants him and me to disappear. Seriously, it's the freakiest thing I've ever experienced. She's with a group of people called Woke and Preparing a People. March 28th, Charles is back in Arizona. March 31st, Lori shows up in Arizona at the house. Kay and Charles are there packing up his things, and JJ was in Louisiana with Larry Woodcock. Charles offers to fly Lori to Houston on March 31st to see JJ, but Lori says she can't because she's made a commitment to a friend in Hawaii, but she'll be back in 2 weeks and then she would come see JJ. I believe this visit is when Kay Woodcock said it really seemed like Lori was trying to provoke Charles. He was being very reasonable, but she was pushing buttons big time. In the spring, Melanice's dad notices a lot of changes in her. He said her mood was flat. She would use the terms light and dark spirits. She would use the term warrior and spoke a lot of the second coming. Her house was a mess. She was always on her phone and going to temple a lot. Also in the spring, Charles and Tylee buy a Jeep. Tylee would take up these payments in June, and this is the Jeep that Alex Cox drove from Idaho to Arizona when he would shoot at Brandon Boudreaux months later. On April 2nd, Charles emails his attorney and says, I'm now in Houston in our new home. I say our because Lori is coming after she finishes packing in Arizona. Lots of forgiveness and misunderstandings. And as I told Taylor, love always wins. April 12th, Lori flies to Houston to see JJ. Charles mentions this was 72 days that she had been gone, and Lori stays. On April 16th, Charles does exactly what I think Lori wanted him to do in her moving back, which is changes the beneficiary back to Lori. However, Kay Woodcock testified at Lori's trial that there was a problem with the insurance company. I am not clear whether that was officially changed back to Lori and then later back to Kay. My assumption is it was never officially changed back to Lori, but I could be wrong. And if I am, please let me know in the comments. On April 21st, Lori makes an email account. It's for a Karen Walker, and that email address is kkwalker@yahoo.com. She sends Chad an email asking if he would come speak to their youth from their church. She says her and her husband have been financially blessed and would foot the bill. There were other emails sent from this account. Most of the time, it was invitations for Chad to listen to a song. Some of those songs just can't get enough. Let's Make Love and I Dreamed a Dream. April 26th through the 29th, Lori and Chad are in Houston together. Around this same time, messages between Lori and Tylee indicate Tylee was frustrated with being left alone over the weekend, and she would have much rather been back in Arizona, where all her friends were. Lori emails Chad again on that account April 30th, thanking him for coming to speak to their youth, which is code for hooking up at the hotel. Around this time, Lori had not been in contact with Zulema very much. I think Zulema maybe baits Lori a bit into contacting her because on May 2nd, Zulema texts Lori, I had the feeling something may happen to one of your family members. And Lori says, call me. The next day on May 3rd, Zulema tells Chad she heard a voice saying someone in Lori's family is going to die, but Chad does not respond to her message. Lori tells Zulema this is a very powerful demon in Charles, and the reason Charles moved to Texas is because they had doctors there that helped with these kind of possessions. It helps the person to stay alive and keep going. She also told Zulema she moved back to Texas to get Charles's finances straight. There you go. May 4th, there is a group call that seems to be a casting session between Lori, Zulema, and Serena. Lori asks Zulema what powers they're going to use, and Zulema says crystals, vibrating fire, ice, water, lightning, wind, stormy sky, and fiery cherubim. I feel the ice is going to be the most critical because Mel says it paralyzes them. May 5th, Chad searches for malachite on eBay. Malachite would end up and be the type of wedding band they gave to each other when they got married. The same day, Lori screenshots a malachite stone. This is a little more than 2 months before Charles is killed and 5 months before Tammy is killed. May 6th, Zulema texts Lori that Serena is doing a study on what they need to do to clean and clear Lori's home and get rid of the servants he has. He, meaning the evil entity that is in Charles, that has also switched names at this point. It went from Ned to Garrett. On May 7th, Lori searches for malachite. May 11th, Charles visits websites about how to file for divorce in Texas without a lawyer. He also visits life insurance websites. May 17th through the 19th, Charles and JJ go to Louisiana to spend the weekend. They stay with Kay and Larry, and they give JJ a birthday party since his birthday was upcoming on May 25th. This is the last time Kay and Larry see JJ in person. After the visit, JJ and Charles go back to Texas. May 21st, Lori tells the group being Zulema, Melanie Gibb, Melanice, Serena, Christina, and Nicole, that she can't do a conference call because she is being monitored and it's not safe for her. May 28th, Lori flies to Salt Lake City on Delta Airlines. May 29th at 10:06 a.m., Zulema texts Lori, "I will go in spirit when the bomb goes off, and I'll be there to see JJ's spirit go to the presence of the Lord. Then I and the angels will protect the bodies and not allow for them to be possessed by evil." At 10:32, Lori to Zulema, "Perfect. I just found out there are 4. One is a level 4 entity and his name is Iplos. The H is silent. The other 3 are level 3s. Let's do this." At 3:36, Zulema to Lori, "I encapsulated them with invisible hidden capsules that will close and capture them as soon as the bomb goes off and they leave the body. I also created a safe path guarded by warrior angels for Jonas to come and bind them and take them away as soon as they exit the body. I have a good feeling of this. I saw myself protecting the bodies." May 30th, Lori and Melanie Gibb are in Utah. There is a Preparing a People conference scheduled for May 31st through June 1st, and Chad was supposed to speak, but he said he had a family emergency, which is probably code for hooking up with my exalted goddess at a hotel. June 1st, Chad does a Google search for Iplos 2 times. Also, Zulema texts Chad, "I did some work on Iplos. I'm holding this intention and asking for the Lord to complete it." Chad to Zulema, "Lori texted me about what Julie Clements saw about Iplos looking like a dragon. Frightening, but fascinating." June 2nd, there is a series of text messages between Lori and Zulema where they're trying to cause Charles to wreck his car while JJ is in the car with him. They are in Texas, and later on, an investigator asked Zulema about these texts. She said Chad had told Lori that Charles would be driving his truck on this trip and that he would have a car accident and die. Chad told her energy needed to be put around Charles's body so another entity couldn't enter and possess it. Lieutenant Ray Hermosillo from Rexburg reminds Zulema that JJ was in the car with Charles and what would have happened to him. Lori told Zulema that JJ would not be living for a very long time and that he would pass away soon because he had another mission to complete. Lori assumed he would die in the car accident with Charles. Zulema said Lori started telling her between March and July of 2019 that JJ would die. She never heard Lori refer to JJ as a zombie, but she did hear Lori refer to Tylee as a zombie named Hillary. June 3rd, Lori texts Zulema and says she's going back to Texas to a literal demon, and he is still fine as of this morning. Lori does go back to Texas where Charles and JJ are and texts Zulema at 9:30 that night, "Let's go spiritually tonight and work on him. We give the timing to the Lord, but we don't need to relent. This is war. June 9th, Lori is back in Arizona and meets up with that core group, including her brother Alex and Christina Atwood, who is a witness for the state that Lori does not want testifying. And according to Christina, Lori said she crushed up 10 Valiums and put them in Charles's protein shake. And she also heard Alex say he wished he could just kill Charles. June 16th, Zulema texts Lori about going to the temple to work on Iplos. June 20th, Lori leaves Charles for the last time and goes back to Chandler, Arizona for good in a rental home that would be the one Charles would be shot and killed in less than a month later. June 21st, Lori searches for Social Security disability and does a benefits evaluation, essentially what she would be entitled to if she were a widow. After Charles's murder, she would text Chad the estimate she got from this, which was around $4,000 a month. Later on, after Charles's murder, when she goes to the Social Security Department, they give her roughly the same estimate. June 26th, Charles texts Lori's brother Adam asking if they can chat, and they have a phone conversation. June 27th, Alex texts Zulema for what looks to me like the first time. Also, Zulema texts Lori asking if there's any way Iplos can be changed from dark to light. Also on this day, Melanice blindsides her husband, Brandon Boudreaux, and asks for a divorce. He thought they had a pretty happy marriage. June 27th, Charles sends Lori's brother Adam a link about a translated being and says this is what Lori has been talking about. Other texts indicate that Charles believed Lori had ruined Melanice and Brandon's marriage and said that Lori needed to be stopped before she ruins other marriages. June 28th, Lori sends another email from this KK Walker account to Chad, pretending to be Charles, asking for his help as a ghostwriter on a book that would revolve around Charles's days as a semi-pro baseball player and also knowledge he gained through running his own company. That same day, Lori texts Charles at 1:02 p.m. Please call me. Need to speak with you about the lease. Charles, no thanks. You handle it. If it costs money, just text me. Lori, if this is even you, does someone have your phone? These texts don't sound anything like you. Charles, sure, Lori. It's Ned or Garrett. Take your pick. You have gone a bridge too far. Your favorite movie line is very fitting. Quote, you are a murderer of love, end quote. Lori, still not proof. Call me. Charles, I will not call you. You are too dangerous. Your mission has become clear to me. You are the destroyer of families. Lori, good luck with that, whoever you are. Charles, all based on lies. First hours, now Brandon and Mel. Whose life are you trying to destroy next? Lori, wow, you make me out to be pretty powerful to do all that. What exactly would my motivation be? More babysitting time? Charles, you will be stopped. Not by me, but you will be stopped. The text message continues into the next day on June 29th. And June 29th, Charles learns about Chad. He found the email that Lori had sent asking if he would come help ghostwrite. She was writing it as if she was Charles. The same day, Lori's brother Adam sent Charles a message saying that he had told their mother they needed to have a family meeting to hold Lori accountable. Charles tells Adam he would not be there for that and said he's tried to get her help, and everyone in the family except for Adam put a scarlet letter on his forehead. He says he knows this won't work because Lori knows she's special. Charles mentions maybe getting the bishop involved and says Lori is on a very dangerous path, thinking she's on a special mission. She's on her 5th probation from Heavenly Father himself. Charles later tells Adam if Lori's family knew what the meeting was about, they wouldn't show up for it. Charles then forwards Adam that email Lori sent to Chad, acting as if it were from Charles. And part of Charles's email reads, I'm going to send it to Chad Daybell's wife. Her name is Tammy, and I found her email address on their website. I've got her cell phone number too. Sounds very suspicious to me. What do you think? Whenever she gets caught doing this kind of stuff, she starts blaming everybody else. Mostly me, you, and Brandon. Brandon and I are the victims of her craziness. I wish you luck trying to help her. I was the only one brave enough to try to get her help in January, and look what happened to me. The whole family put a scarlet letter on me. Maybe now they can see what they're up against. We're going to end it here. On the next episode, we're going to start with text between Lori and Charles, where he says he is sending Tammy Daybell the fake letter that Lori sent to Chad. To me, that is the motive to take care of Charles very quickly. We're going to work up to the day of the murder on this next episode. And then the final episode, we will go through that day as well as some discrepancies that I found in watching the 3 different police interview videos between Alex, Lori, and Tylee on the day Charles was shot. So that's it for this episode. Hope you guys have a good rest of your afternoon, and we will see you soon.